The reverse parallel parking manoeuvre is part of the UK driving test, but the space allowed to complete the manoeuvre is quite generous. However, we will often find that the gaps available in a high street are normally much tighter, and so the technique used on the driving test might not work. In this video, we will show how we can adjust our method to safely park in the tighter gaps we find in real life. We recommend using the 1-2-1 technique if we are asked to do the reverse parallel parking manoeuvre on our driving test, but it is optimised to make use of the 2 car lengths gap we are allowed behind the target car. In real life, we just don't have this much extra space, so we must adjust our technique to enter the space closer to the front car. Here we are driving in a busy town centre, and as we can see, there are a lot more hazards around us than on the more controlled situation of a driving test, so we will need to be very careful when we park the car. We are going to park the car 5 times, so let's start with a fairly large space before we move on to the smaller spaces. The first job is to find a suitable space to park in. We look for a space at least 1.5 times the length of our car to allow a little room to manoeuvre without the risk of damaging other cars. Once we have chosen a suitable space, we indicate left to let others know what we are about to do. We drive alongside the front car, keeping a door's width gap on the left, and stop. We quickly select reverse gear, as our reverse lights are an extra signal to any traffic behind and might prevent someone accidentally getting too close and blocking us. We start reversing slowly, and then once we are alongside the other car, we steer to full left lock. This is more lock than our normal method, but it will turn our car into the space earlier, much closer to the car in front. We keep moving really slowly, looking around for danger, and wait until our car reaches the correct angle to steer right. Once we reach about 45 degrees from the curb, we quickly steer to full right lock to turn the car back the other way. We use our small blind spot mirror to check our position to the curb, but if your car doesn't have these, you could point the mirror down to get the same view. At this point, we might need to adjust our steering a little to fine-tune our final position before stopping the car. Let's take a look at another parallel park, this time into a smaller space. We don't use any reference points when parking in real life. This is because every time we park, it is a little different and will almost always need a little steering adjustment to reach the final position. Unlike on the driving test, it doesn't matter if we take a few attempts to park the car or abort the manoeuvre and find a better space to use. As long as we are careful to ensure everyone's safety, then we can take as much time as we need, so there is less pressure than on the test. Sometimes we might get our position slightly wrong and need to make some adjustments. We notice we are being followed closely and then spot a good space on the left. If we aren't sure about a space, we find stopping alongside it allows us to check whether it is large enough or not. We check it's safe, reverse to the left, and then notice that we have got too close to the curb and can't finish the manoeuvre. Once the other traffic has passed, we gently move the car forward to make space before reversing again. We are always very careful not to touch other vehicles, and if it helps, we can use the power steering to steer the car whilst the car is stationary. Dry steering like this can overheat the steering of some cars though, so we only do this when necessary. On the driving test, we always park on the left, but if we are driving on a one-way street, we may need to parallel park on the right side of the road. The technique we use is the same as normal, except of course we steer the opposite way. The curb is beside our side of the car in this situation, so it is a lot easier to see and position the car against. The only negative is that our view is more obscured when we need to leave the space, so we must be careful. So remember to choose a space at least 1.5 times the length of our car. Indicate to inform other people what we want to do. Reverse very slowly when manoeuvring the car and steer precisely into the space. If you found this video interesting, then please click our logo to subscribe to our channel, as it really helps other people find our videos. If you would like to help support this channel, then please click the Patreon link to find out about our crowdfunding campaign. Thanks for watching.